Welcome to Chautauqua People. Our guest today is Kendall Crolius. She has substantial experience in theater, lives year-round on the grounds of Chautauqua Institution, where she played a key role in founding Common Grounds. She's recently published a second edition of her book, Knitting with Dog Hair. We'll talk more about that later. And she has done all sorts of great things along the way. Kendall became a member of the Actors Equity before attending University at Princeton. And what is the Princeton Triangle musical comedy? What was your role there?
So I started out on the technical crew. I became Triangle's first female technical director, one of their first female stage managers, and ultimately was an undergraduate officer of the club, and later in life became the first female chairman of the board.
And is that a student organization, or?
It's a student organization that's been around for 130 years. F. Scott Fitzgerald was in Triangle, Jimmy Stewart was in Triangle, Clark Gesner, who wrote Your Good Man Charlie Brown, was in Triangle. So it's got a wonderful history, and they write and produce a musical comedy every single year.
Does any of this stuff make its way to YouTube?
Every now and again, yes, indeed.
Have to check it out.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of your early jobs after college graduation.
So I worked in the theater for 4 or 5 years, I guess, after graduation, and ended up at McCarter Theater in Princeton, which is where I met my husband. He's an actor and director, and he came in with a new artistic director and new acting company, and that's how we met. And the rest is history. We've been married for 43 years.
43 years. Yeah. Goodness. So how did you make your way to Chautauqua during that time?
So Stephen, my husband, was cast as an equity guest artist in a Chautauqua Theater Company production in 1999, when Becky Guy was the artistic director. And they rehearsed in New York, they rehearsed at Juilliard, and he was only going to come up for about 10 days just to get the show teched and, for the week-long run of the show. And I wasn't going to come. It seemed like it was a far way away, and we had young children and all of that. He got here, walked around the grounds the first morning he was here, went to a payphone, as one did in 1999, and called me and said, "Oh my gosh, put the kids in the car and come up here. You're not going to believe this place." And that's kind of our Chautauqua origin story. And we came every year, starting for a week at a time, and then 2 weeks, and rented different places around the grounds. And ultimately, in 2017, we went shopping for a 2-bedroom condo and bought a 7-bedroom 1891 Victorian former boarding house. And
how many bedrooms again?
7.
7.
And about 3 years ago, moved here full time. So we love it.
How did you manage, you were working this time, how did you manage your family life with 2 kids while your husband was also in the theater?
Well, we lived in Connecticut. We raised our family about an hour outside of New York, in Connecticut, actually quite close to the town where I grew up. And we have great train service, Metro North. And I would go in the morning and work all day in the office, get on the train and head out as Stephen was getting on the train to head into New York to do a Broadway show. And we had a full-time nanny who was great, but the kids usually had one or the other of us around, so it worked out fine. We never saw each other. So even after 43 years of marriage, I think we're technically still newlyweds.
Still catching up. So what were you doing then? Were you office manager?
So I started out, my first corporate job was in the advertising business, and I worked at big global agencies, J. Walter Thompson, McCann Erickson, and had a lot of fun. It was a great time to be in the business, and kind of got to see the world because I was running global accounts, and that was all great. And I was recruited into Forbes magazine after about 15 years in advertising to be their chief marketing officer and one of their token Democrats, and that was a wonderful experience. And I kind of got the marketing department in shape, and they said, "Oh, you know how to fix things. Will you fix the conference business?" So I took that over and did CEO conferences all over the world, which was great because it actually brought in my theater experience. It is like putting on a show, and really loved that work. And when I left Forbes, I joined an organization called G100 that was very interested in my background, talking to CEOs about what keeps them up at night. And I joined G100, which is a CEO membership organization, and designed and launched a program to help internal CEO succession candidates prepare to be the CEO, next CEO of their company. So very, very senior executives who were, aspired to take on the top role. And did that for 15 years before I recently retired.
And that was probably a lot of confidential work about the
Yes.
companies and their internal issues
Absolutely.
without any hesitation whatsoever.
Mhm.
Now, what was your husband? Was your husband still acting during this?
He was. He was doing, television, New York-based television, primarily Law and Order. He pops up on Law and Order all the time. People are always calling us saying, "Stephen was on Law and Order tonight." Did several Broadway shows, Heidi Chronicles, and the Sisters Rosenzweig that were both Wendy Wasserstein plays. Originated the lead role in Lucky Stiff at Playwrights Horizon. So, he was a working actor, not a famous person. He never aspired to be a famous person, but he made his living as an actor and did really, really great work. And at one point, our daughter, who is very healthy right now, was diagnosed with cancer. And she was 10 years old. And Stephen didn't want to travel, obviously, and so he began teaching at a local secondary school and running the theater program there, and he found a new calling. He just loved it, and that's where he spent the last almost 20 years of his career, running that program. So it's been a wild ride.
Now, for viewers who haven't figured it out, you're talking about this actor, Stephen. What's his surname?
Stephen Stout.
And he has appeared where you are, has he not? He sat in that chair.
Yes, indeed.
I guess
Yes,
it
indeed.
was
About a
last
year ago, yeah.
A year ago, he was
Yeah.
in the program.
Absolutely.
So indeed, we have another husband and wife couple
Love
here.
it. Love
and,
it.
Each with a related career.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me about what you're doing at Chautauqua these days in theater.
So I'm currently president of Friends of Chautauqua Theater, which is one of the community support organizations. There are, many at Chautauqua, and they are wonderful. We consider ourselves to be a friend-raising organization more than a fundraising organization. We let the development group, the advancement group, take care of most of that. But we support Chautauqua Theater Company. We try to improve the experience of the guest artists, both the conservatory actors and the design fellows, and also the professional actors who come in. We want to improve their experience at Chautauqua and connect them to the Chautauqua community. And
What are some activities you do?
so we have a program called Connections that a lot of the performing arts groups, where we pair up students with a Chautauqua family, and it just gives them sort of a quiet place to go, and a place to go for a home-cooked meal, and a place to take their laundry to do if they want to do that. And with the theater students, because they're a little older, for example, than the dance students, we'll put everybody on a boat and go across the lake to Bemis to karaoke night on Monday, because that's their day off. So we do all kinds of fun things for them.
I'm glad we got you on a Monday night here in the
Exactly.
studio. And is that a year-round commitment as a Friends of the Theater?
It has become a year-round commitment because there's a wonderful organization that was started by our dearly departed Bob McClure, which was an off-season play reading group where a group of primarily amateurs would get together and read a play once a month with an audience and all of that, and all the receipts from the $10 tickets go to support Chautauqua Theater Company. And a couple of years ago, Bob, thinking about succession planning, asked Friends of Chautauqua Theater to kind of take that organization under our wing. And so it's now called the Bob McClure Chautauqua Play Readers in his honor, and we sort of shepherd that off season. So it actually, we do operate year round.
Where are those programs held?
So Hurlbut church in the Marion Lawrence room is our performance space.
And where is that? That's not the sanctuary, is it?
It's not the sanctuary. It's anybody who's taken a yoga class has probably been in that room. It's a big meeting room on the second floor that has a stage and plenty of seats for which you should bring your seat cushion. But it's a great space, and we're really grateful to Hurlbut for being so generous as to let us use it.
I think I went to Sunday school class there as a
You
little
probably
kid.
did. You probably
I don't know the rest of the facility, but I know that. Now let's ask a couple more questions here of significance. How did you make a decision to relocate to Chautauqua year round?
Well, I grew up in Fairfield County, Connecticut, and back when it was sort of sleepy little New England villages, and it isn't that anymore. And the traffic is terrible. The people aren't very friendly, and we were just kind of over it. And one of the things we love about Chautauqua is that the people, not just in Chautauqua, but in all of Chautauqua County, are so friendly. It's much more of a Midwestern ethos.
It is.
And traffic is when you get stuck behind an Amish horse and buggy. It's just a pace, the natural beauty, people that we really love. Now, this is not to say that we don't get back to the East Coast regularly. We do, almost every 4 to 6 weeks in the winter. We go back to New York for a long weekend, see a bunch of plays, see a bunch of friends, and the rest of the time we just love being here with our Chautauqua friends.
Do you drive?
Fly or take the train. The train is actually a wonderful trip, particularly between Albany and New York City. It is so beautiful, John. The first time I did it, it was on the way back to Buffalo, and I had my knitting, I had my books, and I did nothing but stare out the window at the Hudson River all the way. It was just gorgeous. So, yeah.
You pick up the train on Exchange Street in Buffalo?
No, we actually take the train out of Depew.
Okay.
Free parking, really easy to get to, don't have to hassle any downtown traffic, and it's just, it's not quick. You're kind of spending most of the day, but it's a great way to relax and read, and and then when you get there, you're not dealing with getting from an airport into the center of Manhattan.
And no hassle
right
with
there.
security and that
No.
kind of malarkey
Nope.
along the way. Take
Nope,
off
nope,
your
nope.
shoes or
Exactly.
any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I know I've taken that train years ago, and I hope they've improved the physical.
It is. I mean, it's really quite comfortable. My husband's very tall, so getting an airplane seat that is comfortable for him is not easy, and he's very comfortable on the train.
Great. So you recommend it.
I do.
Now let's switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to make trouble for Devin here. but you are known on the ground as an author, and we now have the second edition of your book here, Knitting Dog Hair. So how about giving me a little bit of background on knitting dog hair,
Yes.
and we'll have some good points on that. Look at that, he's got a nice slide up there for.
Great. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
So I have always loved knitting and all kinds of needlework. I think I inherited that passion from my mother. And for my I'd always wanted to learn how to spin. And one year on my birthday, when Stephen and I were still living in Brooklyn, he gave me a weekend spinning course as a birthday present. And I thought that was wonderful, so I go to the spinning course. And the teacher said at one point, you don't have to limit yourself to sheep wool. You can spin anything. You can spin dog hair. Ha ha, big laugh. But we had a very sheddy golden retriever at home back in the apartment, and I thought, okay, and so collected some golden retriever fuzz and made a beautiful scarf for Stephen. And we had friends who had a Great Pyrenees, which is like really lots of fuzz. And so it became this running joke. They would bring bags of their dog's hair. One weekend I finally sat down and spun it, thinking I would make mittens for them, and ended up making a sweater for Barbara and a vest for Jim. I mean, it was just so much fuzz. They happened to be book packagers, and they said this would make a great book. And great visionary that I am, I said, no, it wouldn't. And they said, no, 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 we think it's a great idea. Do you mind if we write it up as a book proposal? I said, be my guest. They did. They shopped it around for 10 years. 10 years. And finally called me one day and said, we sold the book. And they said, do you want to write it? And I said, well, we've been joking about it for 10 years. I guess I should. So there was a little item in Publishers Weekly that basically said, this is the book proposal turned down more times by more publishers than any other proposal in the history of publishing. The Wall Street Journal picked that up and wrote a very funny piece in their marketplace section. And I'm on an airplane going somewhere on business and pick up the paper in the morning. And when I landed, cute little article, I thought, okay, can't wait to put this in the scrapbook. I called my secretary for messages, and she said, why didn't you tell me? I said, tell you what? She said, dog hair book? And I went, oh, did you see the paper? She said, no, I didn't see the paper. You have 65 phone messages. And I said, who called? And she said, David Letterman wants you on his show. Rush Limbaugh wants to interview. And she goes through this whole litany, and she said, and your editor called. And I said, what's his name? Because I'd never met the editor who had bought this book. So I called him, and I said, introduced myself. He said, I know who you are. And I said, you won't believe this, but my phone's been ringing off the hook. He said, so has our sales department phone. What we told you about needing the manuscript in 2 years, we need it in 90 days. So with a full-time job and 2 little kids and all of that, I enlisted the help of a dear friend who was a freelance writer, and we delivered a manuscript in 90 days. And it was crazy. We were in People magazine, we were on CBS This Morning. I mean, it was just a publicist's dream because it's such a silly idea. Everybody who's ever done fiber arts, spinners, weavers, they know about using dog hair, that you can use dog hair to make wonderful yarn, but dog lovers didn't know. So that was really the market for the book.
The breakthrough.
Yeah. So it was in print this was 1994. It was in print for 20 years. Finally went out of print, and the same editor, who was now at a different publishing company, said, I want to do the book again. And Bob Weil is the editor. He's a serious editor. This is a man whose books he's edited have won the Pulitzer Prize.
Goodness.
But he loves this book. Bless his heart.
Is he a dog owner?
He is a dog owner, yeah. And he's got a fabulous sense of humor. And so we did it again. My second 15 minutes of fame.
How did this edition change?
So the what changed in this edition, the how-to stuff is basically the same, although we clarified a few things. What's different is the beginning of the book is all about what happened when we first published the book. So we take the very tongue-in-cheek point of view that we started a movement, the dog hair knitting movement, and it's true stories about what happened, because as I said, lots of publicity. Jay Leno kept mentioning us in the monologue. It was really a lot of fun. So all of that is in this new edition.
And how did they treat you when you went on camera for things like David Letterman?
We actually never did David Letterman.
You never did?
No, because David Letterman wouldn't, because Jay Leno mentioned the book in the monologue, then all of a sudden David Letterman didn't want, it's TV politics. So
wouldn't
wouldn't
have anything to do with
you.
you.
Yeah. So
Now, when I always read these books, and this is 2 weeks in a row I've been reading books, and I come across a word or two, card as a verb was always something the teenagers worried about.
right, to
Going
be carded,
out.
going, yes, indeed.
And I thought to myself, this is a new one.
Yes, carding.
So what is carding? And
So carding is a process of straightening out the fibers after they've been washed, and you do it whether it's sheep or dog or whatever it is. Carding combs sort of look like dog slicker brushes, but you have 2 of them, and so you put some fuzz on one, and you take the other one, and you're basically doing that, and it's like brushing your hair or brushing your dog's hair. All it's doing is straightening out the fibers, which makes them nicer to spin and takes out the lumps.
And then a current device for spinning, does it look like an old-fashioned spinning wheel?
Yeah. I mean, I have a spinning wheel that is the same one Rapunzel used, And they're actually amazing machines. But you don't need a spinning wheel to spin. You can spin on a drop spindle. There are ways to spin where you literally just roll the fibers on your thigh. But a spinning wheel is a really amazing, efficient machine. So
And that works just fine
it
then.
works great. And it's very relaxing. It's, kind of like a meditation.
Mhm. Do you give classes on?
The only time I've ever taught knitting with dog hair was at Chautauqua in special studies. And it was a great class. People brought their dog fuzz and, we made yarn.
And we had lots of fun.
We did.
Now, let's say somebody wants to get a copy of the book. How do they do it?
It's on.
And I wonder if Chuck could show the picture again. It'll take him a minute to bring it up. But let's see if he can do that. Here it is. Let's leave this
Yeah.
on for a moment. So go ahead.
Well, I have to talk to Earl about putting it in the Chautauqua bookstore because I don't think they have it yet. It's available on bookshop.org, which we love because it's independent bookstores.
Now that is bookshop.
Bookshop.org.
Okay.
Amazon, of course. And I actually have a website called dogknitting.com. And we have lots of information, links to buy the book. And we're just starting a gallery of dog garments from all over the world. People are sending in their submissions. It's really fun.
So indeed, there's lots of background. And is it hard to find somebody else to knit with or talk about?
No, we actually have, on the website, we have spinners who are experienced with dog hair. If you don't want to learn how to spin, we'll spin it for you. Contract
Wow.
spinners that have
Wow.
experience with dog hair. Yeah.
So that's
we love
all-
supporting cottage industries. So.
Yeah, so that's a community item. Now, one major item I wanted to talk with you about, and that's the community at Chautauqua, and I'm going to mispronounce it, Common Grounds.
Common Grounds.
Tell me about the background, what it is,
Yep.
the participants, and like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful, miraculous Chautauqua thing. When 2 years ago, when Afterwards Cafe became a wine bar and was no longer a coffee shop that was open year round, there was literally not a place to get a cup of coffee on the grounds. And instead of whining and complaining, two of my friends said, well, we can fix this problem. Portia Rose and Beth Miller set up a card table with a pot of coffee and a sign that said free coffee and a little tin to put a donation in if you wanted to. And all of a sudden, and it was right near the coffee gazebo. And so in September, people were gathering there and having a cup of free coffee and leaving some money in the tin that enabled them to buy more coffee. And meeting and engaging in conversation. Then it started getting colder, and another friend, Sherry Castle, went to the institution and said, "Could we have an indoor space to do this?" And we talked about what the rules would be, and they gave us a fabulous space, which is Hultquist 101.
How many bureaucrats had to sign off on this? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I mean, there are. There are particular rules. So we don't sell anything.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd have to get the health department involved.
Got it.
Right? So it's all volunteer. Nobody gets paid. We don't charge anything. But you can just come in, grab a cup of coffee, and homemade baked goods and granola bars and fruit. We always have stuff around. You can play cards. You can do jigsaw puzzles. We set it up like a big living room. There's a men's group that meets on Saturday mornings in there. I have a knitting group on Monday afternoons. Joan Mistro has a mahjong group on Thursday afternoons. Karen Schwartzwalder teaches chair yoga 2 mornings a week, and it's all free. It's all staffed by dozens of volunteers. And to me, it's just a fantastic example of a community coming together to solve a problem. Not assuming that it's somebody else's problem and they should complain about the people who aren't providing coffee. Solve the problem. That's what communities do. And this is just a fantastic example of that. So it's become a real community center.
And when is it open?
It is open from, I'm going to say November through April. And the reason is that the institution needs that classroom space when Rhodes Scholars is in residence because it's kind of a primary classroom for that organization. So as soon as they're done with that, we move in. And we have holiday parties and all kinds of fun stuff.
What days of the week?
7 days a week. It's open from 9 to 3 Mondays through Saturdays and 12 to 3 on Sunday. And for the past 2 years, we've served homemade soup on Sundays. We've also created special activities around special events. For example, Eclipse Weekend, we were feeding real lunches, as was Hurlbut Church. The whole community got involved. We had a cosmic Name That Tune thing. We had a drum circle that we did in collaboration with the arts education folks at the institution. And it was just a fantastic collaboration to provide programming beyond the however many minutes an eclipse actually is, because people came up for the weekend and it was just glorious fun. Just
Great.
fabulous.
How many people normally are there visiting during it?
So it's hard to, it could be 8 or 10 people on a day. When around the holidays, it's a lot more. Eclipse Weekend was a big surge, as you can imagine. But we serve 4,000 people a year.
Wow.
Now that's, like man hours, right?
Yeah.
There are people who come every day. Which is also a wonderful thing. We have quite a few people who live alone, and to have a place to go and just chat and read the newspaper. It's always yesterday's newspaper. We get them from the bookstore, so you're always a day behind on the news, which in this
Who
day and
cares?
age is fine.
Yeah.
So, but it's just wonderful, and it's really built fabulous relationships within the community and really tightened up the community. And one of the things that we undertook last spring is doing a winter census, because nobody can actually answer the question, how many people live at Chautauqua year round? Nobody really knows. And so we sent out a survey and, in many different ways, and we're tabulating the results over the summer, which will give us an answer of kind of who's here when, because we've asked, for all 12 months when you're here, when you're not here. But importantly, we also asked people to say, would you, if there is a power outage, a big blizzard, whatever, do you want somebody to touch base with you and make sure you're okay? Yes or no, and how would you want to be contacted and all of that? And then also, would you be willing to check on a neighbor? And so we're sort of reinstituting what 10 years ago was a phone chain for the winter residents, so that we can take care of each other, because that's what communities do.
And you probably have a lot of fun in the process too.
We do. We have loads of fun.
During the campaign, was there presidential campaign, was it get political? Were you teasing one another, you support that person, how could you do such a stupid thing? But
No, I mean, we have political conversations every now and again, in Common Grounds over coffee, but the Common Grounds gang are the people who really believe in civil discourse. So we can disagree without being disagreeable.
so we're polite in the process.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great. We are out of time, but the crew always indulges me for an extra minute or two. Is there anything else we need to cover?
I don't think so. This has been such a joy.
This has been fun.
I appreciate it, John.
Do come back. Thank
I
you very
will.
much.
Thank you.
We'll see you now.
All righty.